Everybody's ready?
I'd like to call to order the December 17, 2019 council meeting of the mayor and council at 7:38 p.m.
It is my honor to ask to come up Reverend Dr. Bessie Duncan from the New York Church of Christ to give invocation, and lay pastor Betty Fetzer, if you would please come on up with her, if that's okay, if you guys don't mind. I think two is more powerful than one. When two get together, he's here. So,
Unexpected honor. Thank you.
More than that, we're a great friend.
the killer bees. Would everyone please rise?
Lord, in all ways we are so grateful for how you give us what we need to do what is ours to do. And in this past year, and the years before that, we've had wonderful, strong, intelligent leaders carrying this town to the pinnacle that it is right now. And we thank you, God, for all those who have served to this point in time. We thank you, God, for all the families that have supported them to this point in time. It's just lovely to hear the children laughter on the street, knowing they feel safe in our wonderful town. And Lord, we know that in this season, the reason for the season is peace, love, joy, and full of faith. Because we know as we move forward, you're with us in every step of the way. And we go forward knowing, not hoping only, knowing in faith that you will watch over this town with all the strength, anointing, blessings you have to this moment. And it is such an honor to be here this evening to say very clearly, God is with each and every one, those here and those not here, in this town, because he knows this town is a sample and example of the good we want to see everywhere. Through the name and power of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing and join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas on January 3, 2019, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual scheduled meeting for 2019, which has been posted on the bulletin boards at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to our town, the Record, and the Community News newspaper, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In the case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They are immediately to my right and the double doors to the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both audio and video and may be rebroadcasted.
roll call.
On roll call, Mayor Fabre,
Here.
Council members Bennett,
Here.
Boland,
Here.
Allman,
Here.
Trevino,
Here.
Lindenau,
Present.
Garofalo,
Here.
Borough Attorney Ironman,
Here.
Borough Administrator Stern,
Here.
Borough Clerk DeSoto, here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Barbara. I was informed that we're going to go a little out of the regular order of business and with the proclamations, so whoever wants to take that away, please, let's take that away.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's a very special evening, and it's one that I have mixed emotions about. On one hand, I'm really very happy and very proud to have my first official act as the mayor-elect to be to pay tribute to three people who have devoted so much of their lives to making Maywood better. But on the other hand, it's also very sad because I've grown accustomed to their counsel, to their faces, to their input, and they're going to be missed. So I do have those mixed emotions. As the mayor-elect, I recognize that everything that we do on the council really builds on a foundation that's been laid by those who served before us. And the foundation that Mayor Fabre, Councilman Gervino, Councilman Lindenau are leaving us is a strong one and will allow us to build to new heights. So having said that, I'd like to invite my councilman,
Councilman.
Matt Garofalo, to say a few words.
Thank you. All right. So Adrian took me into his office 2 years ago, and he looked at me and said, so what do you want to do? And I looked around looking for someone else in the room, thinking that maybe he was talking to someone else. Luckily, Ryan was there, and Ryan answered the question. And I said, obviously, seriously, I want to say thank you to Jen and Adrian's family for allowing him to serve for as long as he served. I know that it really, takes a whole family to be able to do what we do week in and week out up here, and for as long as Adrian has served, and to be able to do it well, you really have to put that time in. So Adrian is really an example of what politics can be. We are in a very extraordinarily divided time right now, where friends of decades and family are torn apart by our current state of politics. I felt when I walked into that room, I didn't feel like a Democrat versus a Republican. I felt like Adrian was asking me, what did I want to do for Maywood? We can disagree. We often disagree. I decided what I wanted to do, by the way, eventually. It was bike lanes, right? So, bike lanes. No, that's a joke, Patty. Come on. That's what she's going to write. That's what she's going to lead with. It's bike lanes. No, just kidding. But, I think what I've learned through doing this is that the people on the other side, they want what's best for everyone, certainly in Maywood here. And so, while we can disagree, let's come together in a room and be able to disagree in a way that's civil, that, we can make our points and move on. And I've really enjoyed that, and we usually then can go to the bar afterwards and keep drinking beer and continue our disagreements, which is fantastic. But I really hope to continue the work that Adrian and Tom and Mike have really done the past many years that they've served. It means a lot to us. Again, the time that you have to put in to do this well, and you don't get paid anything. You get nothing really but grief, and you don't get a lot of thank yous. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to their families, Michelle and Stephanie as well. But most of all, I want to say thank you to Tom. I want to say thank you to Adrian, and thank you to Mike for everything you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Ullman, would you come on and say a few words?
Very few. Yeah. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't really prepare anything.
But so in not having prepared much, I will say that I don't like to bring too much of our personal lives into the dais, or at least into the public sessions of these meetings. But to do a little bit of it, I would have to bring some of my faith in, because we all have strong faith, or else we wouldn't be here thinking we could make Maywood a better place. And two of the biggest tenets of the faith that I believe in is to love your neighbor as yourself. And I can't think of three people who have shown that to me more than Michael, Adrian, and Tom over the past 2 years. And another one is to welcome the stranger. And that is one that they have really done beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And not just them, but in their families as well. And I feel that, strangers became neighbors over the past 2 years that I've gotten to know these 3 people and their families, and not only the Fabres and the Gervinos and the Lindenows, also the Padavanos, the Messos, and several other families that I've gotten to know over time through them. So I really can't thank you enough for bringing the best of Maywood to me, and for humbling me and letting me see that when I'm up here, I'm representing a lot more people than myself. So I appreciate you all helping me see that and seeing the larger picture. So thank you. That's it.
Councilwoman Bennon.
Okay, thanks, Lou. Makes me look really bad, and I have to go as the third person, so I'm going to make this really short and sweet. I'm also the one who have known Mike, Tom, and Adrian probably the least amount of time, but in the short amount of time that I've been here, they provided great guidance, definitely funny stories, lots of funny stories from Adrian and Tom. They've been a pleasure to serve with on the council. As you see, both Ryan and Matt have said that they've welcomed them. I felt the same this year coming in, that they've welcomed me, provided me with guidance and wisdom. They've shared their opinions this past year, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't, but they have been wonderful to serve with. And they come here with the same thing that we all come with in serving, and it's this positive attitude. And we all look to be here to serve, and they serve with honor and with pride, and they want the best possible for Maywood here. And of course, I've enjoyed all the fun, witty banter on and off the dais. It's been great being with you guys, and I thank you for welcoming me, and I thank you for your service and commitment to this town. And you will definitely be missed. Love you guys. Thanks.
If I could ask Councilman Gervino to come down to the microphone, please. Would you come down? Mike, do you want to, is your family here?
My wife.
Want to have your wife come up? Although we're going to give him the plaque, I think everybody who serves recognizes that our families really pay the biggest price. It's time that we're away, it's time that we're devoting to, to helping the town and not to our families. So we wanted to just thank you and honor you first for letting him do this. So, Mike, I'm very proud to present this plaque to you, and it's in recognition of your service to the borough. It's really been a distinct pleasure, and the only regret I have is that you're leaving after only a year of me being on there. So I hope it wasn't anything I said. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You want to take 2 of them, and then we'll do everybody all together? Councilman Lindenow, would you come down, please? I just want everybody to know that when I first got on the council, by the way, Adrian told me that same thing when he asked me into his office, what do you want to accomplish? I thought it was like a trick question. I thought if I got it wrong, I didn't get to be a councilman. I want you to know that they put me down at the end with Tom, and for the past year, I swear he's been changing the settings on my seat so that I sit lower than him. So when I first got here, the dais was like up to my
shorter.
Up to my chin.
And it was definitely Tom.
I was definitely, I had to sit on a...
It wasn't Matt.
Yeah.
It wasn't Matt.
Is your wife here? Is your family here?
Yeah, come on, guys.
Everybody.
Again, I want to repeat what I said. It really is the families of the people who serve that pay the biggest price. And I appreciate, and I know every member of this council appreciates you letting us steal him as often as we have and letting him serve for as many years as he has. So thank you for your contribution. And this is presented to Councilman Tom Lindenau in recognition of your dedicated attendance, attention, and service to the residents of the borough. Tom, it's been a real pleasure. Mr. Mayor, do you suppose anybody remembers that you and I ran against each other the very first time?
A couple people, not too many.
You know, the thing that really impressed me when we did those debates was how energetic and how informed and how really enthusiastic you were. And it's amazing to see that you haven't lost any of those things. You got a few more gray hairs, but I'm really, it's been a pleasure, and I want to thank you. Is your family here?
Yes.
David? We're not done. Are you crying because you're sad or because now he's going to be spending more time with Dad? Can we get him a job on the DPW? Yeah.
Gary something.
This is for you. Thank you so much for all the support that you've allowed him to show the town. Before we give you your plaque, though, I'd like to read a proclamation for you. It's post-dated because I can't really sign it mayor yet, but so you can't really hang it up till January 1st of next year. Whereas for many years, Mayor Fabre has devoted a great deal of his time to the borough of Maywood and its residents in many different capacities, both elected and volunteering. And whereas Mayor Fabre has served the borough as mayor for 5 years and as a councilman for 4 years, and whereas as councilman he served as council president for 2 years, library liaison for 4 years, fire commissioner for 3 years, as well as working with different committees during his tenure. And whereas as mayor, he served on the library board and planning board, as well as a representative for the Bergen County Open Space Fund and Community Development Building Grant. And whereas Mayor Fabre has devoted many hours to Maywood's emergency services as a member of Maywood's Protection Fire Company, the Fire Police, and the CERT team, and whereas he has also volunteered to coach for the MYAA and is a member of the Knights of Columbus for 10 years, now therefore be it resolved that the Borough of Maywood does hereby recognize Mayor Adrian Fabre for his impact on this community and his commitment as he served the borough as an inspiration to us all, and honor him by commending and emulating the spirit of his dedication, and be it further resolved that he now be known as Mayor Emeritus Adrian Fabre. You know, these plaques are really a kind of a pitiful way for us to thank you, but I'd like you to accept this in recognition and with great appreciation for your dedicated service and leadership to the borough, serving as councilman and mayor, presented on behalf of the borough. Thank you again.
Get a family photo first.
I don't even think you see my head over there.
Can we get the whole council maybe coming up with everybody?
I'm running out already.
Here, let me go on the end.
Is the podium in the way? Is the podium in the way? You know what, the podium is kind of in the way, so if you will, scuttle.
This is my good thing.
Don't really be out of the shine. With everybody.
We don't have the ceiling.
Brian, I think you and I should get in one. It's our team. Squish, we have to squish this thing, squish in.
Squish in.
I won't budge you.
Yeah, Barbara.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm gonna do my speech now. If you guys, I mean, 'cause I don't want to start up and start crying and not start crying. It's being up and down. So I'm just gonna do it now. If you guys don't mind. What?
What's he gonna do with the speech?
Yeah, you.
We table it for tonight's meeting.
I hope everybody went to the bathroom. Everybody go to the bathroom that needs to go. Bye. If that's a fire, I'm leaving. Is there anything? Oh, all right. Here we go. Yeah, right. All right. I want to thank you all for being here to share this evening with me. I have some things that I'd like to talk about, kind of put a ribbon on my time here. Some thank yous, some special moments that I'd like to talk about, and some shameless self-promotion. Before I do that, I need to thank three of the most important people in my life. My wife Jennifer, my children John and Ava. The three of you are my purpose in life, and every forward step I take is with you guys in mind. Without the support and unimaginable understanding of my family over these last 9 years, there is no way I could have done any of this. Those of us that have served on the council know the sacrifice it takes in order to do this job as it should be done. And then multiply that by 10 when you're talking about the mayor, and then times that by 10 again when you factor in politics. Now, I may not have known what I was getting into when I started this, but at the end of the day, it was my choice to get involved. My wife and kids didn't choose this. They had no idea when this all started how all-consuming this would become. They missed out on having me at so many games and practices and coaching, just everything that you can imagine a dad doing. What do you have tonight became the normal question in our house. And so my wife and kids are the one that made the real sacrifices these 9 years. And choosing not to run again was in part a way to say thank you to them. You guys know this, but just let me state it publicly, that without your love and support, there is no mayor for Bray. Jennifer, Ava, and John, I love you guys more than you could ever imagine. So how the heck did I get from my living room couch to this dais? Well, I'm going to tell you, and now just cue those wavy television flashback things, okay? Yes. I was born in Jersey... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought I edited this thing. Sorry about that. like many folks up here, I got interested in local government because of national politics. I would watch TV and get pissed at what I saw in the news, and then pissed about what I saw was going on locally. So I talked to my wife, and she agreed with me that the addition of my talents to the Maywood Council would really make a positive difference, and I should go for it. That's a nice story. It's not true, but it's a nice story. No, in fact, when I told my wife what I wanted to do, she said, in that Staten Island accent that I love so much, missing letter R's and all, she said, "Are you friggin' kidding me? Nobody's going to vote for you." And then I think she called me an idiot and laughed. Believe it or not, that was not the first time she had called me an idiot. But there was just something about that particular time that made it so different. And that's pretty much all it took. I was going to do whatever I needed to do to get on the ballot, and this is the God's honest truth. Had she said it in the nice way that I just said before, that it was a good idea, I would have never run. Something would have come up, a house would have needed to be painted, something. I would not have run. I did this to prove her wrong. Let's let that sink in for a moment. I spent the last 9 years basically trying to prove my wife wrong. So you see, kids, it's really not Daddy's fault. You can blame Mommy for everything now. The truth is out. Anyway, once I got here, I realized that the national stuff really had no bearing on what happens in Maywood. When I ran the first time, my campaign slogan was "One voice can make a difference." I really had no idea what that meant. I just thought it sounded nice at the time. But looking back, it was so true. All it took was one idiot to stand up and say, "I'm in, I want to help." And then that idiot got a bunch of bigger idiots to join him. And they made a positive difference in the lives of folks in this community. Back then, I never thought anything like that was possible. And now I know that anything is possible. It's like the song lyrics go. I was so much older then, but I'm younger than that now. Now I have hope. And I know things can always be changed by people who care. And I know that for a decade I was part of that change. And some of the people here were part of that change. And I believe next year's council will make positive changes on their own and keep this town moving forward. Now I'm going to mention, here's the shameless part, I'm going to mention a few of the accomplishments that have taken place in my time here and give some kudos to this administration and to the people that I served alongside, both Republican and Democrat. I don't think I'm too off base when I say that these last 8 years would rival any 8 years in this town's history. For starters, consider that the average municipal tax increase over that time was barely 1%. That includes 3 years with no increase and 1 year with a decrease. This is all coming in a decade where every municipality had to tighten their belts, but we were able to do more with less. On day one, we hired Maywood's first female administrator. Again, we were one of the only towns in Bergen County to have a female administrator, and I think even to this day, and more importantly, Roberta brought with her the most experience and qualifications of anyone who ever served in that position. At Memorial Park, we installed new benches through public sponsors, new dugouts, water fountains, sunshades, and a retaining wall at Cleveland Field. We had the crumbling handball wall taken down. Roberta actually got that done for free, saving this town about $25,000 based on the quotes we got. And we built a pavilion in its place with a matching grant from the Open Space Trust Fund, which at the time I strong-armed them when I was on the committee. We are one of only a few Bergen County municipalities to have, and certainly one of the first to install, a dog park for our large and small furry four-legged friends. Likewise, with the community garden, we again are only one of a handful of towns in the county to have one. We substantially rehabbed our aging ball field, the completion of which will carry on into next year. We took down that ridiculous fence at the corner of Spring and Coolidge, and in its place put a pole for our Tree City flag and a nice Welcome to Maywood sign that one of our scouts did for his Eagle project. We modernized the entire facility at the pool, There were new sunshades, new locker rooms and bathrooms, just to name a few things, making it more inviting for our residents. We also made significant infrastructure improvements to the senior center at Borough Hall. We started several community and family-based events like the annual Fall Festival, worked hand-in-hand to develop the Hawks 5K run. We added to our unbelievable fireworks that keep getting better each year, brought in bands and a DJ to make the event a full evening, as well as the excellent winter holiday kickoff with Santa, reindeer, and a Christmas/holiday tree lighting. All of these community events are paid for by donations that Roberta secured from our businesses and institutions at no cost to the hardworking families of this community. These things were done in the spirit of maintaining our small town feel, like Greg used to call it, Mayberry. Right? Mayberry.
Wasn't my phrase.
It wasn't your phrase? Over that 8-year span, we upgraded police vehicles and equipment. We got our police department to participate in the Department of Defense's 1033 program, which allows Maywood to get surplus government equipment at no cost to the Maywood taxpayer. And we were recognized by Congressman Gottheimer for our early entrance and participation in the program. We raised the department manpower to its necessary number to function without incurring excessive overtime. We started one of the first canine units in Bergen County. In the time since it started, our canine officers and their handler, Officer Christopher Nichols, have been responsible for aiding other surrounding communities in drug arrests, finding missing persons, saving a life, and catching a murderer, and have received many awards and accolades. We made the single largest investment in vehicles and equipment for our DPW. We instituted a program to treat salt with calcium chloride. This was done to support hardworking members of our DPW who do a great job taking care of our roads, parks, and buildings. And I want to thank them for the great job that they've done during my time here. We purchased new fire apparatus, instituted a program to replace aging turnout gear. With our grant writer and administrator's help, we've gotten close to $2 million in federal, state, and county grants that we used for things such as generators for our buildings and life safety equipment for our firefighters. And we built on the work of the prior administration and extended the streetscape to the business districts over by the train tracks in order to bring a focus on all businesses in town. While other municipalities chose to wait, we took head-on the COA mandates from the state, and with guidance from our experts, we put together a plan that works for Maywood without crippling the town in the process, like we've seen happen in many other communities. We installed new crosswalks, new lights, and created no-turn and parking restrictions in order to protect pedestrians and motorists alike. And we addressed the unique turning and traffic flow conditions on West Pleasant Avenue. We helped get our library back on its financial feet by significantly increasing the funding beyond the state-mandated requirements. So much so that the library now has a surplus that it can use for small projects or emergencies. We appointed and reappointed trustees who care about our library and have its best interest at heart, and will continue to keep our library on solid footing. We saved Maywood nearly $1 million annually by switching to the state insurance plan and consolidating our court system with Paramus. We negotiated contracts with our bargaining units that took care of the needs of our employees as well as the needs of the Maywood taxpayer. We got rid of longevity payments for all new employees. One of the first things we did was adopt an anti-nepotism ordinance, which was years before it was the popular thing to do. I think we were, in fact, one of only a handful of towns in Bergen County to have such an ordinance at that point. And we never filled a single position with anyone based on who they knew or what family they came from. Rather, we hired only the most qualified individuals that we could find. And finally, we paved miles and miles of Maywood streets, in an era when state aid for such projects is at a bare minimum. And we made investments into Maywood's aging infrastructure and kept a watchful eye on the remediation and eventual redevelopment of the Route 17 property, which I sincerely hope will come to fruition at some point in our lifetimes. Now, I'd like to take time to thank so many people as I can, that helped or inspired me during my time here. Starting off, I want to thank the folks from the Maywood Republican Club who took a chance supporting someone who they had first needed to get registered as a Republican in order to get on the ballot. I want to thank my good friend Matt Stathis, who at the time I decided to run, was coaching with our son's baseball team with me. And when he found out I was going to be a candidate, he told the club, "Are you crazy? The guy's a Democrat." We never even spoke politics up until that point, but Matt said that he could tell from the hippie necklace that I wore that I was most certainly a liberal. But eventually he became my first campaign manager, and I learned so much from him during that first go-around. One of the things he said that really stuck with me, besides telling me to get rid of that hippie necklace because it makes you look like a friggin' Democrat, he said, "You can get miracles done in politics as long as you don't care who gets the credit." And he was so right. Matt, thank you for always being there for me. Next, I want to thank my friend Sam Conoscenti. Sam has been someone that I could always go to for advice and have as a sounding board. Our phone conversations would often last for hours. Each year I started, Sam would email the candidates Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena speech. If you've never read it, please Google it because it's wonderful. It sucked reading it in the Monday night before the election because all it ever made me think about was losing. But when I read it now, I'm able to truly appreciate it. I want to thank one of my best friends, Frank Messer, for always being there for me when I needed him, no matter what, especially when I asked him to run for his council seat. He must have told me no about 20 times before I finally wore him down, and once he was here, he turned out to be one of the best councilpersons that Maywood has ever had, and it was my honor to serve alongside of him. Thank you, Tara, Dina, Lisa, Jim, Jerry, Barbara, Kathy, Tom, Tommy, Rich, Judy, Roy, Jamil, and the rest of the guys in our DPW. And a special thank you to Jean Pellegra. I could not have done this without her help. Thank you to the current and former members of our police department for putting your lives and safety on the line to keep the residents of this community safe and for always serving us with honor. To former Police Chief Dave Pegg, thank you for your undying dedication to Maywood. He is one of the rocks of this community and a brother to me. And thank you, Chief Joseph Natal. You, like Barbara, had very big shoes to fill when you took over your positions, and like Barbara, you did it without missing a beat. I have greatly valued your judgment and your leadership of this department, but I valued more so your friendship. When I was in town about a year, I saw an ad in the Our Town that the fire police were looking for members, and so I figured it would be cool to fight fires while carrying a gun. So I joined up. I mean, it's right in the name, Fire Police. But even though these guys don't carry guns or fight fires, they are so vital to the operation of this town, and I thank them for teaching me early on what it means to be a Maywood volunteer. I want to thank my fellow Maywood firefighters for always having my back, whether in here or out there. Thank you to my brothers on the truck, Skaz, Danny, Bobby, Nick, Brandon, Matt, Ronnie, Botto, Lou, Tyler, Assistant Chief Reiner, and my idol and hero, George Stager. Thank you, Deputy Chief Gargagliano and Chief Jack McManus, for your steadfast leadership and for helping to protect this town no matter what hour or what the emergency. And special thanks to former Chief Christopher Tuttle. He has been a friend to me from day one. He has given me guidance and advice and has always been there for me as a sounding board. And I'm very sorry I called him fat and made fun of him at the Chief's dinner, held in his honor in front of his wife and children, his mom, his dad, and his friends and family. Some that flew in just to be there for his special day, and all the chiefs and officers that came from other departments. I'm pretty sorry about that one. Just as an aside, I remember I told some of the guys here just now, Matt and Ryan came up to me before I gave that speech and said, "I'm so looking forward to this speech. You always do great speeches." And I gave the speech, and afterwards, I walked back to the table where we were sitting, and Matt goes, "Not a good one." And I just looked at Ryan, and Ryan goes, "I ran a few words, just shook his head. It was pretty bad." Thank you to Maywood Town Elder and Historian Betty Fetzer, Scout Troop leaders Martha DeYoung and George Trapp, Maywood's official bringer of the holiday spirit, Billy Jelinski, Thank you, Reverend Bessie Duncan, for always uplifting us when you came here. Thank you, Frank Lichtenberger, for your guidance and for protecting this town both on the fire ground and on the planning board. Thank you to Library Director Caitlin Hull and the members of the Library Board of Trustees. And thank you, Hal Bloom, for your friendship and guidance. May you rest in peace. Thank you to all the members of this council that I've served with over the years, no matter what party you belong to. Thank you, Al Ballerini, for your friendship and for the class you displayed when you served. And thank you, Frank Maroney, for your friendship and service. Your devotion to this town is evident in everything you do. Thank you, Dr. Meglio, may he rest in peace, and Rick DeHare for the time we spent together. And thank you, Claire Padavano. You did something that not many people could do. I know that I couldn't, and that was make people forget that your husband ever served up here. Your upbeat outlook is contagious, and you always make me feel like things were going to be okay no matter what. You were one of the best to ever sit up here, and you are like a sister to me. Catherine, it was a pleasure serving with you. I've watched how you've grown into your position over this last year, and you've done a great job. But as I've told you, your future is in the county government and beyond. Just don't forget Maywood when you get there. Rich, I look forward to your administration. You were a gentleman from the first day you got here, and you always treated me with respect and helped make my final year a pleasant one, even though I know there were those outside that didn't want you to do that so much. I believe you will be an excellent mayor, and I always used to joke with Councilman Fleischman that if our candidate's night 10 years ago was on YouTube, then you and Rick would have been up here instead of Eric and I. But it's your time now, and I wish you the best of luck. Brian, you are the brother I never knew I had. If I only knew that Maywood even existed when I was growing up in Lodi, I'm sure we had been great friends. I know when you ran for this seat, you were doing it as a favor to someone, but you have become one of the most important people on here. You have found your voice, and it's a voice that needs to be heard, and a voice Maywood needs to keep it moving in the right direction. I meant what I said, man. You are my brother, and I thank you for every minute that we have served together. Council President Garofalo. Matt, like me, you were only in Maywood a short time before you decided to run. And like me, you got into this because of national politics. And again, like me, you found out that this is about something so much more important. It's about the town we chose to raise our young families in. It's about the neighbors and the community that we both love so much. It's about Maywood. The only person besides my family that made leaving here such an easy choice was you. Because I saw early on in you that you were the person that I could hand the fire to. That fire that burns inside for this town, that keeps us working for everyone who lives here. Never stop fighting for what you think is right, Matt, because more times than not you are right. Keep everything going, keep it burning. And guess what I'm saying is, stay gold, pony boy. Michael Gervino, my childhood friend, my Little League teammate, one of the people I walked home from middle school with every day and carpooled to high school with. I was so happy when I found out when I moved into town that you were living here also. Mike is the only person that I can think of that not one person ever said a bad thing about. If you knew Mike Gervino, you liked him. He didn't have a single enemy the whole time Mike lived in Maywood. And right up until the point that I asked him to run as a Republican, he had no enemies in Maywood either. I'm sorry about that, bro. But thank you anyway for saying yes when I asked you to take my spot on the council. And I'm sorry that I neglected to tell you that you would have to run again the very next year when your term expired. Mike, you were an excellent councilman, and you've always been a good friend. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Tom, of all the people that I've ever got to run for a seat up here, you were the only one that refused to say yes until you interviewed me. You weren't going to allow your good name to be associated with mine unless you were convinced that I was a good person. and yet somehow you ran with me anyway. Kidding aside, you and I became friends almost instantly, and now you are one of my closest. You helped spark my love for another kind of running, and some of the best conversations I've had were in those 3 to 5 milers that we would do. But when we first ran together for council and the campaign against me got really ugly, you were there by my side to encourage me when I needed it, and to tell me to get my head out of my butt when I needed that, and basically reminded me why we were doing this in the first place. Tom, I guess what I'm trying to say is this. We live in a cynical world, and we work in a business of tough competitors, and you complete me. Jerry Maguire. I was going to say the real Larry said I love you and you complete me, but I just didn't think you'd like that. Ron, I'm sure you'll watch this. You were the perfect fit for our new administration. You brought instant stability to us in a time when we were a little uncertain how things would go. You have a way of cutting right through the BS and helping others to see the simplicity of the path ahead. Your advice and friendship have been invaluable, and you are one of my most trusted friends. Thank you for your guidance and the service you gave to this community. And Brian, thank you for taking over for Ron. And while you're not anywhere near as funny as he is, you're every bit as good a borough attorney as he was. Thanks to you, we didn't miss a beat, and you have protected this council and this community, and I thank you for that, and this community owes you a debt of gratitude. Gary, hiring you was one of the best decisions this administration has made. As superintendent, you have helped to bring stability and accountability to the DPW. We have a great crew of guys that take care of this town, and you have helped them to reach their full potential, just as you did with the fire department when you were the chief. I thank you for your friendship, your guidance, and the tremendous job you have done for the residents of Maywood. The next two are going to be hard, but...
The next two binders?
Yeah, the next two binders. Yes. Roberta. I might have been the spark that started it all, and Greg might have been the one with the blueprint, but you were the one that took our vision and made it happen. Nothing, I repeat, nothing that we have accomplished would have been anywhere near as good or as complete without you. To be honest, I don't think we would have gotten off the ground without you. You were the last one we interviewed for the job, and it was like you were a gift sent to us from up high. I knew right away that if we were going to succeed, you would be the one to get us there. At first, my thinking was, you're a woman and a Democrat, it's a win-win. No one could fault our pick. But I quickly learned that those are the least of any of your important attributes. You are the most competent person at their job that I've ever been around. And I'm around attorneys all day, arbitrators all day, and sometimes judges. And they can't hold a candle to you. People have come and gone in these last 8 years that have served Maywood, but the one constant has been you and I in this together. And that's truly the one thing that I will miss the most. I'd run through a wall for you, Roberta, because I know you'd run through one for me, and you have on many occasions. For myself, this council, and this town. You've done more for the residents of this community than they will ever know, and they are so lucky to have you as their administrator. I love you, Roberta. Greg, for the 3+ years that we served together, some saw us as Batman and Robin. You were Robin. Or as Gene used to call us, Grandma and Grandpa. You were Grandma. But in reality, we were more like Beavis and Butthead. You were Beavis. But when you and I first got together, we had two very simple goals: to stabilize the budget and get rid of the political ugliness in Maywood that so many Bergen County towns suffered from. And when I say simple goals, I mean anything but simple. maybe the hardest thing we've ever done, especially the political part. But you have the blueprint, man. Stay above it all, don't get involved in petty politics, never respond, and let's roll up our sleeves and get this thing going. When I asked you to run for mayor, you told me that you were on the short list for a judgeship, that you didn't know when it would come, but we knew that you might not make it to the end of your term. And I also knew in my gut, whether I said it out loud or not, that it was probably going to be me to take your place. So with that in mind, I stayed by your side and learned as much as I could from you. I learned how to handle adversity without it overwhelming me. I tried to emulate how you dealt with people, match your calm demeanor. It didn't always work out for me as I would have liked it to, but I couldn't have had a better mentor than you. And due respect to everyone that has ever served or will serve as mayor, there has never been a person more qualified or better suited to be mayor than my friend Greg Padavano. My only goal once I sat in this chair was to do enough to be worthy to have my picture sit next to Greg's on that wall for as long as they'll have us up there. And with that in mind, I attacked this job like it was my mission. So to the extent that I had any degree of success up here, it was all due to my wanting to live up to your standard and to not squander what we helped build together with Roberta and the rest of the council. It was your leadership, Greg, and it was your blueprint that helped get us to where we are today. And the residents of this community owe you a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. If there was only something we could name after you, brother. Anyway, I love you, you are my brother, and it was one hell of a ride. To the residents of Maywood, I truly appreciate every ballot that was cast my way, but it's the ones that I had to work for, the ones that I had to earn, that meant the most to me. When someone told me that they were a hardcore Democrat and voted for me anyway, or when they told me that I was the first Republican they ever voted for, those were the special votes. To you folks who are going to be here in 2020, I say, do everything you can to earn those votes, those kinds of votes. It's easy to get the ones that will vote for you the minute you run on their party's ticket. Go earn the kinds of votes that when you go into the Maywood Marketplace or at after-school pickup, someone stops you and says, you're the first Democrat I ever voted for. Or when you go campaigning and an elderly man chases you down to give you a bottle of water because it's 90 degrees out, and he tells you, you have my vote, and you're going to win. Or when an elderly couple who are obviously living on a fixed income give you a check for $50 for your campaign. And insist you take it, even when you try to give it back. Or when you get a former mayor from the other party to call you up and say, I would like one of your campaign signs on my lawn. I've personally experienced each of those moments, and there's no better feeling. Unfortunately for you guys, Greg and my wife both work for the state, so neither of us can have political signs on our lawn. But definitely shoot for those other folks that I know. Since I made it known that I wasn't running for re-election, many people have asked me how am I going to deal with not being mayor anymore, and aren't I going to miss it? And I tell them honestly, no. Don't get me wrong, I will miss working with Roberta and Gary and Chief Natal and all the folks that work in this building and on East Hunter, whether in plain clothes or uniform. And I will definitely miss working with the people to my right and left. But when I got here, I knew that this job has an impermanency built into it, so I never let it become who I was. I never saw myself as the mayor, you know, where you walk down the avenue saying, this is my town. I even refused to call the office upstairs my office. I always called it the mayor's office. I just viewed myself as a guy doing the job of Maywood mayor, a position that the people of this town were kind enough to entrust to me to hold. And because of that, I can leave here with the glass that is completely full and without a second of hesitation or regret. And finally, to my friends and colleagues on this dais, and who will soon be on this dais, always put Maywood first with everything you do and every decision that you make, because that's the only way this thing works properly. And never go backwards. Improve on this. Do better than we ever did. The foundation was started before you got here, and once here, you helped to shore it up. And now, it's your skyscraper to build. Thank you for putting your faith in me, Maywood, and for all the great memories. God bless you all. have a meeting to continue. And Billy, would you please come on up? This is a proclamation from the Borough of Maywood, Office of the Mayor, and it reads, whereas William Jelinski has wholeheartedly taken on the responsibility to beautify the Borough of Maywood for the different holiday seasons throughout the year, and whereas his efforts have contributed to the admiration by many, both residents and those who come to visit Maywood. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council hereby recognizes and appreciates William Jelinski for his contributions and dedications to the Borough of Maywood. Billy, the job that you've done these last... There isn't a winter that I've been down the avenue that I haven't marveled at how beautiful that avenue is. And it's not the same in the summer. It's the winter. It's the trees. It's what you do. It's what you do there, Billy. The lights, the decorations, the Halloween decorations that you secured up there and that you got and you put on the corner by the Shell station. The work that you do to make this town, and it's from your heart. And let me tell you guys, Billy's a neighbor of mine, and I went and visited him one day in the backyard before Roberta got all the new LED lights. What Billy used to do is he used to unscrew. He was unwrap. He had 15 to 20 barrels, the orange recycling barrels that we have, filled to the top of wrapped up lights, and he would take each string, plug it in, and if there was anything out, he unscrewed every single light until he found the one that was out and replaced it. It's unbelievable the job this man does every year.
And I do it for you guys, I really do, it's from my heart. But I can't follow you. I'm ready to cry because of you. It was an honor and a pleasure. An honor and a pleasure to know you. And guess what? You're my brother. Thank you.
You're welcome, Billy.
Thanks, guys. I do this for you. I really do. This is from the heart. Maywood is not a town. Maywood is a feeling, and I am so proud to be thanked by the people I do it for. That's all. I can't follow him. Thank you.
You know, but the best speech that was ever given for the Grand Marshal was Billy. He came up here and he said, "I don't do humble."
I know. But I went over to the Legion. The women were having a toy drive for me because I went to toy drive for St. Joe's in Patterson. They're collecting toys for me tonight. I want to let you know I'm going to do the lights as long as I can. I'm going to be 67 in 1 month, and I'm doing it till I can't climb that ladder.
Gary, that ladder that he uses is so rickety. Please get him. It's a wooden ladder, and it doesn't have the A-frame going. It's so rickety.
Because when you can't sprint it over the island, so you got to take that out so you can get up higher.
Oh, okay.
Simple as that.
Maybe we could put a longer one in the middle, some kind of bar.
I'm used to my ladder and my pole.
Yeah, that's true. I told you guys last time, he's got a force field around him. Nothing can hurt him up there.
And I don't look good in orange. I'll never wear one. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. All right, I think we are now at the regular order of business, right? Yep. Okay. What do you have? Guys, thank you so much for this. This is just unbelievable. Seriously, thank you. And the flowers that you throw families. Special moment. And guys, that's the way this is supposed to be. Seriously, that's the way it should be for everywhere. Guys, people just sharing their time up here, not fighting, not hating each other, not making decisions based on I have to go against you because this is what you're for, or vice versa. It's never been like that since we've been here, at least on our end, and for the time that we've been here with these folks up here, it's definitely never been like that. It's been a team effort this whole time, and teams don't always agree, okay, but they do so in a civilized manner. And if there's things that you can't agree on, many times we were able to change each other's minds, seriously. Although I don't know where Tom is going with this charging station, I'm trying, but other than that, we've changed each other's minds, and the times that we couldn't, we just said, you know what, maybe this isn't right at this point, or whatever. But we did it with respecting each other, and like Matt says, we could go right out to Maywood Inn right afterwards, have a drink, and not even mention that. Or if we did, it would be even a more constructive conversation, obviously, because there was beer involved, but alcohol. But this is just a great group of people, and I say this from the heart, and I mean it. This town is in good hands. That's another thing that made it easy to just for everybody up here, the three of us, I know that we knew that this was the right group of people to take over for us. This wasn't. You know, there's been times where we said, we ain't going anywhere. We're staying here until we're, but this is it. This is a good group of people. And it's been my honor, tremendous honor, to serve with you guys. This has been my favorite year. And not so much with just the circumstance that, yeah, hear me out. It's been my favorite, let's go. I'm going to tell you why. It was enjoyable in that I knew going into the year that I wasn't running again. And so I was able to sit back, because for 6 months out of the year, it's a war. You're at war. You know it. You're at war. You're fighting with people coming up here and throwing asphalt at you and all this other nonsense. Yeah, this is for idiotic. But I knew that wasn't happening this year. Okay. And not that it happened last year, but we had a war to fight. But there was no battle this year, and I was able to just sit back and kind of smell the flowers a little bit this time. My wife and kids said this is the first fall that they actually saw me smile, because I haven't smiled in the 4 months up until that point. She was miserable with the walking and all that, with the campaigning. This is a good year. So thank you guys for that. All right, we are now opening the meeting to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to be heard? Come on up, sir.
Really?
Frank Messer, 104 Cedar Avenue. Compelling meeting tonight. I didn't know what to expect, and I have to say everybody's done a great job tonight with what they've said and the presentations and everything. Very hard to follow. But I still felt compelled to come up here and to thank you, Adrian and Tom and Mike, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Frank Messer, the homeowner, the father, the former councilman, and the friend. First off, as a father and a family man, I want to thank you for your focus on Maywood. I want to thank you for all the things you did, keeping Maywood the nice little town that my wife and I fell in love with 20 years ago, that brought us here from New York. I want to thank you for focusing on family events and the things you did at the park where I can take my kids. I mean, I have so many memories of my family and your family at the park doing different things, from ball games, fall festival. Those will never be replaced, and I thank you for that. As a taxpayer, I thank you for making our choice of staying in Maywood twice, since we moved from one block to another, the right choice, because you've made improvements, you added things, and you did it without killing us in the wallet. And I really thank you for that, because it made our decision to stay here in Maywood that much easier. I thank you as a former council person. I sat up there in the dais with you for 4 years. I got to work with you, and I saw what it takes and your vision of what it took to do the job right And while there were plenty of times when you would go to a school function or to the park and it would be great and you'd be like, oh my gosh, there was all those times when you had people that were upset and you got emails and it was like, oh my gosh, it's the people don't, not enough people in this town understand that A, it's a volunteer position, B, you're not the highest paid person in the state to do it, and C, it's a thankless job. So from that, I have a very unique perspective from that as being part of that team for 4 years. So I thank you for that. And I also thank the current and future council people-elect, mayor-elect. Different sides of the aisle, doesn't matter. You're still a volunteer. You're still going to get people throwing the slings and arrow at you. And you know what? We've been there, so I know how it feels. So I thank you for your service. And finally, I'm here as Frank Messer, the friend. Those 4 years that I spent on the council brought us and our families closer together. As a friend, I have to thank your families, because without them, you wouldn't have been here. I also have to thank you, Adrian, for dragging me kicking and screaming into politics 5 years ago, so thanks a lot, buddy. And I have a little bit of advice for you now that I'm on the other side of the dais. For you, your sake, and your family's sake, take some time, take some space, try to unlearn all that you've learned, and let that spring inside of you unwind. Thanks again.
Frank. Roberta asked me to ask you this. Would you please just say, let's go, bro, once? Let's go, bro. You know what I'm talking about. Commercial. You messed that up.
It drives me nuts every time I see him. I said, it's Frank. Frank's doing that ad.
You guys don't know. It's that commercial where the guy pulls up next to the guy and he goes, let's go, bro. They swear that Frank looks like that guy. Sorry.
It's your cousin.
Anyone else from the public? John, come on. Say yes, show your hand. I'll get you now.
I'm a Scotch on the rocks. All seriousness aside, Resolution 224-19, can you expand upon exactly what the 15 grand is going to give us? Is this the stopgap measure, or is this a full-blown heating ventilation system?
What? Wait, I'm sorry. 224?
224-19, I'm sorry. Library, yeah.
This is going to, as my understanding, this is going to fix everything that's happening, right? For repair.
Well, it's a new unit.
Yeah.
It's a new unit,
It's a new
okay.
unit.
So it's
Heating and ventilation?
because right now what's happening is there was a
Heat exchange.
heat exchange which was kind of giving off readings there and stuff.
Well, it's failing, so...
Yeah, it's failing. We're worried.
This is an emergency one. There will be other changes.
Oh, okay. So
but
this is-
more of a, this has to be done now.
It's part of the stopgap.
Yeah, no, this is all new. It's going to stop. We're not going to have the issues anymore, but we have to do this part of it right now because of the winter.
Oh, okay. And secondly, does this consider the proposed expansion of the library? Does this include the fact that you're going to have a bigger footprint?
Yes, the architect was consulted on this.
Well, what happened is Gary met with the architect and their mechanical engineer to make sure that anything we do now is going to fit into their plans for the extension of the children's area.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public who's heard? Discussion, please.
Thank you. I just made a few notes. So I might go past my 5 minutes. Hopefully not, for all of your sake. First, I would join everyone in thanking all of you, past, current, future, for what you're going to do and what you've been through. I'm probably the stick in the mud from the group. Pardon me, I've lived here my whole life. It's the only town I know. It's the only town I want to be part of. My father was born on Maywood Avenue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Might have to put up a historical marker at the house or such for that. Howsoever, just to get a little business done tonight, and I'm here by quirk of accident more than anything else for the first part, and the intent was to give the mayor and council the Borough of Maywood, a check from Lydecker Manor in lieu of taxes, the pilot account, but it's not going to happen until Mr. Mayor-elect reorganization meeting on January 3rd, and that's because weather changed a few things and everything like that. But anyway, when I see you on January 3rd, there should be a check for the borough for more than $137,700, which is an increase over what you got last year. So I'll be back. Just to give you fair warning if you want to escape. The only thing we're missing here tonight, basically, has been national coverage from the media, because they could have learned a heck of a lot about how to run government, how to treat people, and how the citizens react. So next time we do anything, let's invite them to come, because they need more lessons than anybody. And the other one is just a question, when you're talking about new town buses, and even this could apply to the Board of Education, wouldn't it be nice if the buses were handicap accessible?
Yeah.
Not that they have a space for a wheelchair, or what about the other people getting on with walkers and canes? Something to be considered. I thank you all.
Don't laugh, right?
Don't think it's...
Yeah. Thank you, Betty. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard?
Frank Salento, Board of Education Liaison. I just wanted to thank the council as a whole on behalf of the Board of Education for two things, actually three things. The first was as you know, we entertained a feasibility study earlier in the year, and the council passed a resolution supporting that. More recently, we had the open comment period for the State Commissioner of Education, and the council sent a letter supporting our efforts, and we thank you for that. It's now in the hands of the Commissioner, and we await his decision. Finally, I just wanted to thank the council for all your support for the Board of Education and what we do. I'm surprised it has not been mentioned tonight, but I will mention it. Famous former mayor, who's currently in the audience and now a Superior Court judge, said very early on in his term, it's not Republican issues, it's not Democratic issues, it's Maywood issues. And this council has followed that throughout. The Board of Education follows that. We do what we think is best for our students and our staff and the board and our district. And I just think that you all deserve a round of applause for everything you do for the town and the tenets that you follow and you set forth for the new council coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard?
Not to say too much, because I can't. But I do wish to thank Councilman Lindenau, Councilman Girino, and Mayor Borough for your service. This is not easy stuff, what you do up there. You all know that. You all made personal sacrifices, and there are 9,600 people that depend on you every day. So I want to thank you for your time and your service. And it wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't give a historical quote, as I was often doing. But there was a play in the 1700s written by Joseph Addison named Cato, and John Adams and George Washington often quoted this play. And there's a particular quote that they talked about all the time during the Revolution, and it was, "We can't guarantee success. We can do something better. We can deserve it." And your service has deserved that success that you've given to this town. And as a resident, I thank you. I came here tonight because I heard there was going to be a public hanging of Adrian Fabray. I guess we're talking about photos, so I'll just take my seat and wait. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, I was so nervous my first day, and Greg, as he left, I was officially taking over, and he said, "I left the key for you for the office." So I went in there, and on the desk, and I broke down right there, alone, crying, alone, is a little yellow sticky note that said, "Just be Adrian and everything will work out." And I framed that, and that's on my desk today, and that's going on my desk at home. Thank you for that, Greg, and I've stuck with that advice. I've been Adrian this whole time, and it seems to work out. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard? Seeing no one, let's move on to correspondence.
No,
Oh, no, sorry.
pending ordinances.
Oh. Look here. They're double-sided. Who would know? Right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, public hearing on pending ordinances and adoption of same.
Okay, ordinance 23-19, an ordinance revising Chapter 305 of the Borough Code governing towing within the borough, and ordinance 24-19, an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 entitled Personnel Policies of the Borough of Maywood Code in the Borough of Maywood, State of New Jersey.
All right, at this point, I'd like to open the meeting to the public for anyone wishing to have any comment, make any comments, or if they have any questions with regard to the aforementioned ordinances. Seeing none, I'll take a motion for the adoption.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Boland?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries. Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinances 23-19 and 24-19 be passed upon second and final reading, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Approval of minutes. Is there a motion for the approval of the work and closed session for November 12th, 2019, and council meeting and closed session of the December 3rd, 2019 minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Boland?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes to November 12th and same to December 3rd.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Presentation of bills and claims and request for public comment. The clerk has presented the bill resolution. Is there anyone from the public wishing to make any comments with regard to that bill list? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for the approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Boland?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Correspondence and report of the Borough Clerk.
Okay, this afternoon I was presented with a request from Betty Fetzer requesting the senior bus and a driver for the annual Christmas Light bus tour, which is scheduled for December 27th. So due to the time constraints, I'm asking for the council to consider that approval for the request.
Anyone have an issue with that? Especially since she's here, and I would not have an issue with that if she's
You're invited to join us.
Are we okay with that, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Roberta, we got the move here to get a driver, correct? With Jamil?
I think that Gary has it
Okay.
taken care of already.
Okay,
We
thank
have
you.
the driver.
Yep, great. Okay. Yes to that.
Okay, one of the resolutions tonight is we're doing a liquor license transfer for Top Golf, which will now, in the near future, activate a license that has been pocketed for years now, and it's going to be bringing new business into town. And I would like to thank Mayor Fabray and Councilman Gervino and Lindenau for the service to the borough, and express that it's been a pleasure working with you, and it's been a great year for me, and I wish you all the best moving forward. Progress.
All right, progress is good, thank you. Committee reports, Councilperson Bannon. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Roberta, I'm sorry. This is...
It's
gotta get all
probably
my
better.
good screw ups
It's
out.
probably
Yeah.
better that I don't say anything, because then I'll start crying again. But as you know, most of you know, it is a pleasure working with all of you. This has been a really interesting. I love Maywood. I always did. My brother lived in Paramus, so Maywood was my town too. I used to shop at, Russell's Meat Market and the bakery and everything else. So it was not foreign to me when I came here, and I know it was an anomaly for that Republican group to bring on this female Democrat. But I think that all along, as we've worked together, it was never about party. It was about what we were doing for Maywood. And we were family. Your family's like family. I watched the kids grow up. And it's a very special town. Tom's kids, Jake's teaching in school now. He was a lifeguard at the pool. Mike's girls were at the pool, the twins. I mean, this is a family. And it's just a very special place. So, that said, congratulations on your way out. I know that you'll enjoy the free time with your families. You'll be able to go away on the weekends, Tom, a little bit more than you used to, because you'll have more time. You won't have to worry about coming back for a council meeting. And other than that, I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and enjoy whatever you do next. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Lynn. Tom, if you're out of this town anymore, you're going to have to give up your citizenship. Because you're like Magellan. You leave, go on excursions. Committee reports. Councilperson Bannon.
Mayor Bray, I'm going to keep it dry-eyed for my report. Can't say enough. Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. And of course, our DPW did another nice job this last evening and today. I'm getting our soldiers out there ahead of the ice. Everything was nice and clear when I woke up. So thank you very much to our DPW superintendent and to all the people at the DPW for what they do. The building department wants to remind residents about having house numbers visible. Mayor Bray, I'm sure you know, as a member of the fire department, that having those house numbers visible and our police officers as well is incredibly important for safety, so please remember that. And also in the light of businesses, we have 2 new businesses that have opened. Remember, Mind and Body Fitness downtown and Little Locust, so please patron those new places and go see what they have to offer. And this is our last meeting before the holidays. Let's have a good holiday. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor-elect Bowling.
I have to tell you, I'm not usually prone to tearing up. Your speech really did move me, and the chance to work with everyone here has really been very enlightening. Finding my way. I knew that there was a difference in this council. And I felt it when we first spoke, and when I decided to run for mayor, and how supportive you were. You really were accommodating in every way possible. But I knew that this council had a different flavor when I was walking this past election. And I found myself arguing with somebody because he said something bad about you. He wanted it to be, but I couldn't leave it at that because he was wrong. And he was saying something that, about you that just was not right. And I actually sat there longer than any of the other houses I stayed at because it was important to me that he understood that he was wrong in his opinion. So that really kind of says to me what needs to be said. And that really is very good. It is really good. And I hope that you won't be a stranger. Mike, I hope you won't be. Tom, I hope you'll come in regularly and do my other chair down. So it really has been a wonderful experience. I wish you success in whatever you choose. The police report for November, we had 248 911 calls that were made in December. The Detective Bureau has 2 arrest warrants for the HUMC locker room theft. I know we read about it in the paper. We do have arrest warrants for that. The mailbox theft caused our mailbox on West Pleasant to be temporarily unusable. They've yielded several suspects, and they're going to have multiple arrests in the near future over that. In our unused prescription drop-off, we had 37 pounds of medication that was turned in November. The canines had 6 times that they were out with Remy. Riker was at 8 times. 5 were for missing persons, and Remy successfully found a 10-year-old boy who was in Franklin Lakes. Riker was called out for a motor vehicle stop which involved a criminal arrest. We had 239 motor vehicle stops, 120 citations were issued, 6 persons were arrested, 4 were arrested for DUIs, and 3 of those resulted from a stop and 1 was from an accident. And the police department issued 114 parking signs, and that is during the
Thank you, sir. And I demand to know that resident's address, name and address.
141 Ackerman Street.
Councilman Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, last week we found out that the Green Team achieved bronze status for this year out of 565 municipalities in New Jersey, on about 160 achieved that milestone, so we're going to continue to shoot for the silver. And it's very nice to see some past and current members of the Green Team out here, so that's everybody's work, and definitely everybody should be proud of that accomplishment. That is it, Mr. Mayor, and in a lifetime in Maywood, I have to say, it's been one of the greatest honors of that time to be part of your administration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Giovino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the Municipal Alliance, Mr. Shirley submitted the paperwork for the grant for the next 2021 to 2025 cycle, and it's under review right now. And other than that, at my last meeting, I just want to thank the town and everyone who supported me. And I think everyone who spoke tonight has already said it all. We accomplished a lot, and I learned a lot here, and I get to meet a lot of great people and build on friendships that we already have. And like I said, I was a little nervous when other parties came in and started winning elections, and I didn't know what was going to happen up here, and I was afraid that things would turn into what they used to be when you started with constant fighting, and that never happened. We worked together, and I leave here with every confidence that the people that are sitting here and the new people coming in are going to do the best for everyone in Maywood, and has nothing to do with party relationships. This town is what they're working for, and I'm sure things will progress in the way that we've had over the past several years. And thank you, everyone.
See, I told you, everybody likes this guy. He has no enemies at school, never. Councilman Linden.
I have no report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been very interesting these last 6 years. It started with picking up a set of keys in front of Al Ballerini's house that one of his son's friends dropped the night before. Stephanie and I were out for a walk, and I knocked on Al's door and said, "Are these Tommy's or one of Tommy's friends?" And he said, "Yes." And we talked, because I knew Al for a while. And he said, "You ever think of running for council?" And now, 6 years later, here I am. So thank you, Al. It was a great run, and I did have to interview Adrian before I put my name on, because there were some things in the R-Town that were said about him that I had to make sure weren't true, and they weren't. And, he had a mission, he had a plan for the town, and we've had a really good run. And I think I've served with probably, in my opinion, the 2 best mayors that this town has ever seen. The professionalism, the care for the town. I mean, you covered a lot in your speech, so I'm not going to rehash everything, but just the dedication to what's doing right for Maywood. 28 years ago, when Stephanie and I got married and bought our first house in town, it was our 5-year house, and we were both from Montvale, and we were planning on moving back up to the Pascack Valley area. And then Maywood got into us, and we had children, and I got involved with the MYAA in T-ball and softball, briefly in softball. 1 year softball. And both my kids gravitated towards soccer, and I went all in on soccer, not knowing anything about the game. And I did 16 years with the MYA on the board, coaching travel teams, rec teams. So coming here was actually a cakewalk after all of that, because it was a lot less of my time with the practices and games. So it was a way of me continuing volunteering to the town and being part of the town, and part of Stephanie saying, you better find something to do now that you're done coaching, because you're going to be stuck around this house all the time driving me crazy. So it all worked out. It all worked out. I got to meet some really good people. Claire and Greg, Frank, you guys are great. I mean, I found a sister in Claire, and I know her brother very well from upstate, and got to know Claire a lot better on the council, and I like her better now. I was getting there, Claire. And it's just been a pleasure. Everybody's planned for the town, and we don't always see eye to eye on some things, and we may talk about some of that as we go forward tonight. But we are all gentlemen and ladies up here, and we all respect each other, and that, knowing what was here before I got here, years past, some of the shenanigans in this town, was part of the reason why I got involved. I also wanted to get involved to improve the DPW. That was one thing I saw where we had a decent crew, but it lacked certain leadership. And I think bringing Gary on, his vision, his planning for the future, not just doing things because that's the way we always did it, mantra that was down there for a very long time. He got the guys excited about work, proud of what they're doing, and he has a vision for the town. Improved equipment, became a little more self-sufficient and proactive with the sewer equipment that we purchased. So now that we're not attacking problems as they happen, we're attacking problems before they happen. So that was part of my goal, being the liaison to the DPW for 5 years, and I'm very proud of what's been accomplished there, and kudos to you, Gary. Last but not least, Jake, Kelly, Stephanie, couldn't have did it without your support. You guys were always there for me. Love you guys a lot, and we're going to spend more time together now. All the professionals in this building, I've had a pleasure working with them all these years, and I want to thank the residents for electing me twice. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, that's all I have.
Council President Garofalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be brief because I'm going to steal Tom's report.
Thank you.
Maywood Recreation Theater presents Frozen Junior special performances at the Maywood Rec Center on Sunday, January 5th at noon for anyone under 16 years old, $3 admissions fee. Exact change, please. Sunday, January 5th at 3 p.m. for anyone 55 and over. Same thing, $3 admission fee, please, with the exact change. And then Maywood Recreation Theater presents Frozen Junior, January 11th, 2020. Showtimes will be 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Tickets will be on sale soon. For more information, please contact Lisa Sheely at lsheely@maywoodborough.org. I really don't have anything else to report, and I don't want to take away too much from everything else that's been said, and I'm sure Mr. Mayor has a lot more to say in his report, as he is wont to do. But I really just want to say again, thank you to Mike and Tom and Adrian, and Claire and Frank are in the room too. So that's great to be able to say thank you for that, and what we get to do up here is pretty amazing, and to hear you say what you said to me means a lot. It's also a lot of pressure, but I think you're right. I think we have the right people who have the right things in mind. Our goal is going to be to do what's best for Maywood next year and beyond. So, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Can I jump back in for one more?
Absolutely.
I did not forget Roberta. I want to thank you for your friendship and your support and all you've done for this town. You've been an excellent administrator over the years, a friend to me. Anytime I asked you something, you were right there giving me answers, and you've been a great asset to the town, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I pretty much said everything I need to say except this. I want to thank Stephanie, Kelly, Jake, Michelle, the girls, Claire, Kathy, for letting me steal your husband for all these years, and your father. I know firsthand how difficult that was for you guys. It wasn't easy. I know, Michelle, you wanted to kill me many times, I'm sure. And Kathy, and Stephanie, I'm sure, and Claire. But listen, you guys are the ones, like I said, with Jen and the kids. You guys did the sacrificing. So thank you so much for loaning me and the rest of the community. And oh yeah, the other wife, Greg. Thank you for loaning me Claire. That's just too much, right? I know you suffered the most, man. You with 5 kids alone. Oh, man.
I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow.
Oh, God. Anyway, that is really all I have to say. You know what? I think I'm going to take this time and I'm going to go hang myself. That's okay with everybody. I think the picture I think is the one from that I took 9 years ago. I sort of look the same. No, but you know what? That fire. I see the fire in there. I didn't want to take anyone. I have no fire in there. There's fire in there. I want to be remembered like that. Are you able to?
My backfire?
No. It's a stupid ass job I would do.
The unknown native.
Distinguished.
Resignations, acceptance of the following. Adelaida Fuentes has resigned as part-time telecommunicator for the Borough of Maywood effective December 3rd, 2019. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes.
Ullman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Council approval of the following. Request submitted for a social affairs print for the Untouchable Motorcycle Club for January 10th, 2020 from 8 p.m. until 11:59 p.m. at 216 Hergesell Avenue. Application has been presented for review and endorsement by the Maywood Police Department. Is there a motion for the approval?
So moved.
Second? Roll call.
On roll call, Bennett?
Yes.
Bolin?
Yes.
Ullman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions by title.
Resolution 217-19, the Borough Council of the Borough of Maywood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, adopting the affirmative marketing plan for the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 218-19, resolution approving the remuneration for unused vacation time to Chief of Police Joseph Natal. Resolution 219-19, resolution scheduling the date for the 2020 reorganization meeting. Resolution 220-19, resolution for the appointment of Angela M. Mattis as tax assessor for the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 221-19, resolution of the Borough of Maywood, State of New Jersey, appointing Roberta Stern as interim administrative agent for the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 222-19, resolution of the Borough of Maywood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appointing Roberta Stern as interim municipal housing liaison for the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 223-19, a resolution appointing TP Bryan Electric Company Incorporated as the borough's vendor for an electric vehicle charging station. Resolution 224-19, resolution authorizing the purchase installation of an HVAC equipment for the Maywood Library. Resolution 225-19, transfer of liquor license on a person-to-person basis from John Bernetti Jr., Executor, to John Bernetti Sr., to Top Golf USA, May LLC. Resolution 226-19, resolution awarding the contract for the purchase of one adult minibus at least 16 ambulatory seats and 2 wheelchair spaces that shall convert to 20 ambulatory seats, and authorizing the execution of contract for the Borough of Maywood. Resolution 227-19, payment voucher number 1 for the 2019 roadway improvements, Gulf Avenue.
I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
Regarding 21919, the 2020 reorganization meeting, we should, the dates are incorrect. The dates were still from last year. They should be January 3rd, 2019, and then January 3rd, 2020 is the actual date of the meeting
Okay.
next year.
We'll amend that. Any further discussion?
The discussion on Resolution 22319, the charging station.
Yes, sir.
I know we talked about the cost on this and trying to get the businesses to help out with it. Has anything happened to that, or are we just approving?
We're just approving the vendor at this point.
So we're not
No.
deciding on getting a charging station. We're just saying if we do get a charging station,
Well,
this is the vendor we're going with?
For the grant application, we needed by a certain date to adopt somebody to be the vendor. Brian is in fact a state-approved contract vendor, so that's what we're doing. The details of that, in fact, I met with our CFO earlier today, and I finally got some of the answers that I mentioned previously, that one of the electric engineers from our SEM had, come up with comments. I haven't had a chance to read it because I just got it a little over an hour ago, but that will help us put this package together. But we're still going to go with Brian. If for some reason he can't comply with what our requests are, if there are changes involved, then we would have to make a change. I mean, all we're doing is putting the information into the grant application so that we don't lose the $5,000 for the unit itself. Has nothing to do with anything else yet. But that said, if we go forward, this amount of money is going to be, it's going to go into a bond. I mean, that's one of the other things that the CFO and I...
Aside from the grant, then the residents will be paying through their taxes $20,000 for the charging station.
At the end of the day, in a bond, that's what happens. That money is spread out over 10 years generally, so that there is no burden in one year to any...
I understand that. I'm just having a hard time because I feel it's not going to benefit the majority of the residents in the town.
Well,
If you have an electric vehicle in town, you're charging it at your house. The goal to here is to bring business into...
It is, and one of the things that you have to do, and it's in obviously one of the suggestions, they have it in their proposal, but it's also one of his suggestions, is to make sure this gets advertised and that it gets onto maps and it gets into GPS and it gets into Google, so that people in the area, whether they're shopping at the Bergen Town Center or they're shopping at Garden State Mall, they'll know that they will know that there is a charging station here in Maywood. So yes, at the end of the day, it should attract people. We are in the heart of the most heavily retail area and restaurant-used area in the whole county. So, it may we only have 2 of them, but that's 2 more than somebody else has. So people, when they...
I understand. I'm just hoping it pays for itself.
Well, it's supposed to.
Like the vendor says it will.
Well, he gave you proposals, and those proposals are what I sent to this representative from the SEM, who's the electrical engineer, and he's the one who came back with 10 suggestions, which again, I haven't had time to digest, but I will, and then we'll share them at a work session and see how you want to go forward. So this is really for the purposes of not losing the grant for the unit itself, which doesn't mean that we can't change it, as I told Barbara, in the future, if something changes and we know this isn't going to be the one, they're not going to take the grant away because we changed the vendor.
You know, Tom, there's a lot of things that are done in town that don't benefit everybody, but they benefit some. Like, we have the dog park, the garden. I know, listen, I understand what you're saying, it's not $25,000, it's not $20,000, but we do things for individuals as well.
I get that, but if you own an electric vehicle and you live in town and you're charging at your house, you're not going to drive into town and park it for 2 hours to charge it. So we're really doing this for outsiders.
Well, we're doing this for our downtown business district. We don't want to restrict it, but we almost don't even want it to be for the residents, now that I'm thinking about it, because they're coming here anyway to shop. We want to bring people from, like Roberta said, that are in, maybe at Paramus, and they're shopping there, and they got to get a charge.
If they're shopping at the plaza, they're plugging in there because there's charging stations there. That's, in my opinion, I don't see it paying off. That's my concern, is that it's not going to pay off, because if you're in the plaza, you're going to park there for 2 hours and go in the plaza.
Well,
And
maybe
not to take anything away
if you're at the
downtown.
plaza, there's a million shops on Route 17 that don't have one of these
True.
things, and they're not going to the plaza, but they're not going to go
True.
sit in that traffic at the plaza just to charge their car. They'll go get a slice of Mario's and charge their car behind the Maywood Inn.
I don't think it'll work, but I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong.
I do too. I hope they're very wrong. This will be the 1,000th time you've been wrong. No, Tom, listen, your concerns your concerns are well taken, and
I just hope everybody up here, I mean, it's not going to happen until next year, obviously the final award of it, and I just hope everybody takes that into consideration when you're spending that money, that it's really, if it's going to benefit the businesses, I would really like to see the businesses contributing at least half.
Make that work, Robert. Do your magic. Do your magic.
We could also chase, the businesses out of town, and we'll have more empty stores if we keep telling them that they have to do more. I mean, I don't think anybody going to our nail salons or our cleaners is going to be using the charging station, frankly. I think it's people who might be going to our restaurants, and we have more of those coming. I don't think, personally, if we want to consider some of the SID funds for this.
That's what the discussion was last
Right,
time,
not the businesses per se, but the SID funds.
Yes, and
Right.
that's what we discussed earlier.
Okay, right, that's a different.
That's what Tom was getting at.
Right, but just to be clear,
Yes.
Yes.
that's the one thing,
SID
I mean,
funds,
as far as all the
absolutely.
businesses, that would be an
But I
unfair
don't want to go looking
proposition.
to hit them for more than what they're already doing.
Right.
We want to keep them here, we want
Right,
them to grow.
and again, as I mentioned, I think there are some responsibilities with that SID money that we collect because of the debt that was incurred when this originally started, when that property was bought to put the parking lot in. I don't know how much longer we have. I'd have to look at that. I don't know that off the top of my head. So we can't touch all of it, is my point.
I think, Roberta, the council will make that decision next year, but quite frankly, they paid out of their nose for the first, I think, 5 to 6 years of that. They paid down that debt a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money they paid, but that's a discussion for another time, and as I said, I look forward to watching on YouTube. Any further discussion on this?
That's all I have on that.
I have one on 22519.
Sure.
Is that like the Topgolf may actually come to Maywood?
Yes.
Really?
They needed to,
There's
before they
like
go
not
into
one
the planning
in,
board,
like,
there's 2 others in
100
the
miles.
state.
Is there?
There's
Yeah.
one in, I think, Emerson.
Edison.
Not Emerson.
Edison.
Edison, maybe?
Edison.
There's 2 in the state. They haven't gone before the planning board yet, because without a liquor license, it would be a waste of it. So they are purchasing this liquor license for over $1 million.
so
Yeah.
they will be
It's
here.
like $1.15 million. The Kin property, right?
I'm sorry?
The Kin property.
That'll be one of the anchor places.
So now with this transfer of this liquor license, they will now move forward to...
And actually, the people from Kin did not know the amount that they paid for that license until recently.
Oh, okay, I thought you were just saying until he just blabbed it.
It was blabbed already.
Well, now, folks, you have a little scoop here on what's going on in 17, one of the things that are going on in 17. So, why don't you guys think? All righty. Any further discussion? All right.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion for the, we did that. Roll call.
Roll call. Bennon? Yes. Boland?
Yes.
Ullman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have no ordinances to introduce. Is there any new business? Is there any old business?
I have miscellaneous business. Oh, never mind, it's not, I can't do it.
I had that removed.
For you, Claire.
You see that, Greg? I had it removed. We have no closed session, and at this point, I'll take a motion for the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.